Hello, everyone. Welcome today. I wanted to talk to you about the number one thing preventing you from growing and moving forward towards your goals. The biggest thing is this, is that we all have goals. We all have a place we want to go. We're trying to do that, and yet we're spinning in circles. A lot of people do for years, not knowing why they can't get there, not knowing why they're not reaching those goals. The number one reason why you're not reaching your goals is because you're not taking risks. You're not stepping out in faith. You are staying in your comfort zone. You're just doing what is easy. But the thing is this, risk is hard. Risk is scary. And so one of the easiest ways to actually fix this is to make risk easier and to stop allowing risk to control you and your fear of risk, but rather taking steps of action. Now, I heard Warren Buffett say this. He said, taking a risk means that you don't know what you're doing. That's great. That's awesome. So here's the thing. You need to do it without knowing what you're doing. Now, I was listening to, there's a guy that I like, Jesse Itzler. He was saying that when he started his marquee jet company, he actually approached Warren Buffett about that. He approached, I think it was NetJets that Warren Buffett had. And he was this young kid trying to rent out Warren Buffett's jets. But he knew nothing about the jet business. He knew nothing about that. In fact, his SAT score was like below 1,000. And they actually kicked him out of the room. He didn't know what he was doing. And he did it scared. He did it with risk. He did it without having knowledge of how to do what he was doing. And so the number one thing preventing you from growing is actually having to get it all perfect before you get started. Having to know all the steps before you start. Having to know that the results are guaranteed. The only way that you are ever going to learn and grow and make calculated risks is by accepting the fact that you might lose it all. Meaning this, you need to accept that if I do this, I may lose everything that I have put up at risk. And sometimes that could be financial, that could be your life, that could be your future. You need to realize that when taking risk, you have to accept the worst case scenario and be okay with that happening. And then expect the best and work in the best and work in your best lane and move forward from that place of confidence, knowing this. If I take a step of faith, if I put one foot in front of the other, things will start to work out, that eventually it will work out. And having a failure tolerance, having a tolerance for yourself to fail, taking risk, allowing yourself to feel the pain of failure so that it can be a teacher that you can grow from, and realizing, listen, I might completely lose it all. I might completely lose this contract. I might completely lose this friendship, and then accepting that and not beating yourself up over that. You see, if you're taking risks, a lot of people avoid risk and then they accidentally take them by default instead of on purpose, and then they complain and they whine when they get hurt and they fail, and then they never get up again for years, and then they allow that failure to create an experience which makes a belief that says, I'm never going to do anything like that again. And they're afraid of that. And no, I don't have it set so you can't comment, Rita. You took a risk to ask that question. The number one thing preventing you from growing and reaching your goals is you're so afraid of what feels uncomfortable. You're so afraid to take risk, and then you're not accepting that you might lose it all, and you're trying to avoid losing it all. And so you're choosing to stay in a comfort zone. Now, I saw a diagram the other day from Dave Meltzer. He showed an example of a comfort zone, and then outside of it was another ring. So there was like a ring in the center. This is the comfort zone where we live in. And then surrounding that is what he calls the learning zone, and then the anxiety zone. And what he said is you have to live inside the learning zone, but touch the anxiety zone ever so often, that's where risk is, enough to expand the borders of your comfort zone and your learning zone. So they expand over time. As you learn things, your previous anxiety zone becomes your new learning zone. And the learning zone then becomes your comfort zone. And so you have to make a habit of consistently taking risks to learn that, to get out of the comfort zone. To get out of the comfort zone. And so get into the learning zone constantly and stay there. And stay in a state of not anxiety, not stress. So he said the anxiety zone is good to use, to learn. Those are risks. Taking a risk causes some form of anxiety. And what he said is, don't stay, I loved this. He said, don't stay in the anxiety zone so much that it wastes your energy, but use it only for the purpose of expanding the borders of your learning zone. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. So taking risk, use it to learn what works and what doesn't. Yet so many people are terrified to even learn the lessons because they're scared of the responsibility that they have to take when they do something different. And so you have to learn to take risks and risk it all. Let's see, Joanne, she says, my situation is that we could lose everything if we don't take a risk. So now with having to defeat my husband's chemo-resistant stage 4, I've been forced to take a risk with expanding our business. So this is a great example right here, what Joanne put down here. Most people do not take risks until they hit the breaking point, until they hit the point to where they have no other options. What will help you grow faster is taking risks without having the breaking point or an ultimatum causing you to. Meaning that you are self-aware. So what happens a lot of times is the pain of not stepping out is greater than the pain of staying in the comfort zone. Meaning you have to step out because it hurts more to stay in the comfort zone. And this is where a lot of people are. They stay stuck in that place, and it takes years to grow in their business, to grow in their life, to grow in their relationships, to grow financially because of this mindset of I have to wait until a breaking point. And so what it is that's awesome, Joanne, that you did that. And like that you're doing that. And I don't want to negate that or mitigate that if you're somebody that is taking risks in that. But I want to invite you, all of you watching this right now, to not have to wait until your breaking point to take risks, but to instead do them in a safe environment where you don't have to always risk losing everything. Maybe you might risk losing a little bit. You know, maybe not risk losing everything, but maybe you might risk losing 20% of something, and realize that to then learn. And that's what, it's an investing model, actually, is what it is. You're investing your time to see what works, what doesn't, and things start to grow and expand. And so stop waiting until you've run out of options. That's one of the first things. The number one thing preventing you from growing is waiting until you run out of options to even take a risk. And the biggest way to shift that is to start to live inside that learning zone, touch the anxiety zone, step out, do it scared, do it without knowledge, without experience, knowing that you will you probably will fail, in fact, and being okay with that failure and accepting that it's okay if this sucks. Because then in the suck, quote unquote, you can learn, and you can know, you'll learn, and then you'll actually know this doesn't work, so don't do that. What can I adjust? What can I tweak? What can I shift to then start moving forward towards my goals? So I want to invite you to do this today. Look at your goals today. Look at what are the decisions you need to make? What are the actions? What are the things that you need to put on the line possibly to reach those goals? What have you been afraid to do? And then you have two choices. You can either do them all at once, which I tend to do. It'll really accelerate your goals, but that does risk losing everything. Or you can do a little bit and start to stack your experiences, stack your risk taking, and start to get some quick wins. And I actually like doing that a lot more. Is instead of perfection, just get some results and see what works. And then that starts to compound over time. Take small risks that then compound into big results and grow your life, everybody. So the number one thing preventing you from growing is fear of risk taking, not taking them, and then waiting until the last minute and an ultimatum when you've run out of options. If you can shift from this and live in the learning zone and grow and expand your comfort zone,